So 6.20 of that is.
Yeah, sure.
All right, David, and you're ready? And you guys are ready?
Yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the roll call, Ms. David?
Trustee Anderson.
Present.
Trustee Woodson.
Present.
Trustee Carney.
Present.
Trustee Bear is will be, do we expect her to call in?
Yeah, she said she was going to call in.
And Supervisor Stringer Wayne.
Present. All right, first item is a motion to approve the minutes from the April 19th meeting up at North Chicago City Hall. Is there a motion?
I motion that we approve the minutes from last month for April 19th, 2012.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Woodson, second by Anderson. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Next, motions to approve bills. On the town fund, please, Scott.
I make a motion that we approve the town fund bills in the amount of $61,878.53.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
A motion by Anderson, second by Woodson. Any discussion? Roll call, please, David.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Woodson.
Aye.
Trustee Carney.
Aye.
Supervisor Stringer Wayne.
Aye. And for road and bridge, Mary?
For road and bridge, for the month of April is $5,744.83, which includes outstanding invoices for April.
Okay, and is there a second?
I second.
Okay, a motion by Woodson, second by Carney. Any discussion?
Trustee Woodson.
Aye.
Trustee Carney.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Stringer Wayne.
Aye.
I move we approve the general assistance bills in the amount of $1,490.19 for
Is there,
April of 2012.
is there a second?
I second.
Okay, motion by Carney, second by Woodson. Any discussion? Roll call, please, David.
Trustee Carney.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Woodson.
Aye.
Supervisor Stringer Wayne.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is public comment. If anybody wants to speak.
Is this the time to ask questions, just in general?
If you want to, yeah. What we ask is that you come up to the podium, identify yourself, where you live,
Okay.
and there's 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Wendy Finger, and I live at 424 Adelphia Avenue in Norwood. And I see that there's an item on the agenda farther down that says Highway Commissioner. And I guess I don't have a comment, I just have some questions, and maybe later in the meeting they can be addressed. I'm fairly new to the Northern Illinois area and very unfamiliar with how local government functions. So I'm very curious to know and to understand how road projects get funded and approved. Where I moved from, the state I moved from, the state engineer would come out, look at roads that needed repair, they would assess them, they would write a report, and there would be a priority list. I don't know of any kind of process like that that takes place here. I don't know how the roads get funded. I know that we pay taxes for roads, but in the entire time I've lived here, I haven't seen any evidence that that money goes to any use. So I'm just curious to understand how it works. I'm sure there's a process and a system, and I'd just like to educate myself a little bit. Thank you.
And Bill, you want to talk about that, your report?
Yeah, I can, either way, whatever works.
Whatever you want to do. Do you want to?
I can step up now and touch base on it.
Thank you.
How long did you say you've been in town?
We've been here for a few years.
Okay. Because, every year we do some road repairs to, just depending on how much we can afford to do. Last year there wasn't a whole lot done. I think we ended up spending $40,000 to $45,000 on patches and $45,000 doesn't go far. So our budget is quite limited, and so it's pretty much a triage approach. And you know, the worst ones we try to do first, the worst ones, and then we try to consider also, you know, roads that are traveled more than others. You know, one house on a dead-end street isn't gonna take a real high priority for us, unfortunately, but it's just that, you know, we try to, you know, take a common sense approach to it. This year I've got about $125,000 set aside in the budget for road improvements and repairs. And I've got, you know, my eye on things, and I've had my eye on these things. Over the last number of years, I've been trying to accumulate some dollars to try to get more of a chunk so I can take some bigger bites, because you can do a $3,000, $2,000, $4,000 patch here and there and here and there, which I have been doing, and the roads end up tending to look like a patchwork quilt. But it's better than having them blowing out and having our plow trucks pushing the asphalt into the ditch, which we do at times. You know, it just happens. You get potholes and things in this climate that we live in with the thaw and freeze and so forth that take its toll on the roads. Plus, you know, just drainage in general tends to have a pretty big effect on how well the roads hold up. So, you know, I don't publish a report. I don't have, you know, a priority list that I publish. I hear from residents, gee, I wish you could do something with this. And I try to listen to people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if somebody calls me, I'm gonna just be able to jump into it and do it, because I do, like I said, I have my eye on a couple of stretches of road that are gonna eat up a big portion of my, you know, line item in the budget this year for that, along with some, you know, a few other areas that are pretty bad, and to the point that they're, you know, dangerous, in particular for, you know, pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic. You said that where you hail from, did they actually publish a report of things that were on their radar screen?
Yeah, you could go and see what the priorities were for the next 3 years, so you'd know where things fell. And I just, you know, I'm sure there's a process here, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't publish anything, I don't have anything, you know, really, I have some stuff written down. I have a very formal report that we had put together years ago, trying to attach costs to different stretches of roadway and so forth, of which some have been done over the period of years. I think that was done in 2007 or 2008, okay? And a lot of the stuff that was on that list is still on that list, because it's not, you know, we just don't have the funds to do it as quickly as I'd like to.
What you may not realize is that where you happen to live is in an unincorporated area.
Right.
So the tax dollars that go toward repairing the roads in Norwood, because it's an unincorporated area, are a different, everybody from Shields Township pays tax dollars in to Shields Township. And then of the people who live in Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and North Chicago that pay road taxes, 50% of their tax dollar goes back to their municipality of origin. And then the other 50% goes towards your road.
Right, and there's a rebate, I understand, if it doesn't get spent, correct?
No.
There's no tax rebate?
No, and so all of Shields Township pays for the roads in Norwood, but even with that, there isn't enough money to build, to repave every road. So after 3 years of listening to Bill, it's become clear that what he does is he saves up so that he can do one big capital project instead of 20 small patching projects that are only gonna last 6 months. But the problem is the frequent complaint is that the people in Norwood are not happy with their roads, but there's only so much money that comes in. Prior to when I came into office, David or Gail could probably speak better to this, they tried to increase the levy for the road district, but the problem was they increased it more than is constitutionally allowed, and so then they got in trouble for that. So it can only be increased by what is allowed.
Yeah, it was actually, as Laura mentioned, it was increased, and then what happened for my first 4 years in office, I was paying, that money was getting paid back. That was a rebate to the taxpayers.
Oh, that was a
But it was
rebate.
just getting
Okay.
things right with, you know, the
Okay.
legal end of it, and
Okay.
so that didn't help my situation as far as having money to spend on anything. But
That explains the
The
money
rebate-
that came back,
That's
yeah.
where the rebate came
Okay.
from.
So do we have any opportunity to get state or federal funds?
Historically, there has not really been any grant money available for fixing roads. There is money out there that's available for doing drainage projects.
Okay.
So they, for some reason, it's okay, you know, to fix drainage. And a lot of times, you know, drainage can be, you know, have an effect where it's flooding people's basements and so forth. And so, you know, you can kind of get that. And I think, you know, from the upper levels of government, they're afraid to be just throwing money to this low level of government here, thinking that, well, they're gonna spend their money willy-nilly and be coming to us all the time to do their basic function. And taking care of the roads is a very basic function of the highway department. But, you know, it's a matter of how much is coming in, because we're not wasteful with it. It's just, there isn't enough.
That's helpful, thank you very much.
No problem.
In the last time, no, the last major repaving.
Can I just ask that you identify yourself?
I'm Jim Bauer, I live at 908 Talbot. Okay, and my question is, in the last major repaving, I wonder, where did those funds come from? Was that accumulated funds within Shields Township, or was that, you know, did that come from outside funds?
Is you're talking about the repair on Talbot?
When I moved in a while ago, there was a major repaving of pretty much the entire community.
How long ago was that, Jim?
I'm guessing 15 years.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's relevant or not, but.
Well,
I think
it can
has to
be. I've heard stories of back in the day where there was a lot more money available, you know, through different avenues compared to what there is today.
Okay.
You know, my understanding is the road district was a lot more flush, you know, going back, you know, 15, 20, 25 years. I don't know, I think, you know, something changed at the upper level that shut the faucet off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we did some projects here, I think it was 2008, where we did Foster and North Avenue and Jenkinson, and, you know, we did a number of roads. And it was primarily done with money from the general fund, from the township.
Yeah.
Okay, there was in the range of $200,000 that was basically passed over from the general fund to the road district, and then there was a loan of $155,000, of which, you know, we did several phases. And so the first was just a straight gift, not the proper term, but close enough.
Yeah.
And the second was done as a loan, and to date, the board has forgiven
Part of it.
100,000 of that 150,000. Okay, and so right now, the road district still owes a debt of $50-some thousand, and I'm hopeful that that will be forgiven also. I mean, there is a term limit on that. David, do you recall is it
I don't.
2014 or 2015?
It could be, that sounds right.
Is when it's due to be paid. And so, you know, I've got 125,000 in my budget this year. If it's not gonna be forgiven, that would take a big bite Yeah, you know what I mean, if I was, because I haven't paid a nickel back.
Right.
And the
On the loan.
awkward part of making these loans and forgiving these loans is then the people who live outside of the unincorporated area are really paying for the roads in Norwood because they don't even get 50 cents on the dollar back to their municipality for
Mhm.
those funds. It's just an all-out gift.
Yeah,
So it's a terrible situation. You know, Bill's definitely aware of it, as are all of us.
yeah, and I'm listening to what Bill is saying, and it's, if I hear it correctly, the funds that he has to work with are not only not going to fix it, they're not even keeping up at the best that he could possibly ever do.
Well, he has been squirreling away money so that he could do some major capital projects.
Well,
Right, but even at that, it sounds like he's fighting a losing battle, even if he's absolutely flawless. So,
We haven't even talked about inflation with that, you know, that kills your stormy away.
well, you know, for instance, this year, my budget, I'm overspending what we're taking in for this fiscal year by about $90,000. Okay, so that gives you a little feel for, you know, what's happening here this year. I mean, I'm putting a big dent in the money that was kind of swirled away.
Right,
But the stuff's gotta get done,
yeah, yeah,
so.
okay.
It doesn't sound like we have a solution.
Unfortunately, I mean, because, you know, there's laws in place that govern, you know, there's tax caps and so forth, and unless something changes, you know, I guess at the state level,
Mhm.
or if the federal government decides to put in some type of funding for, you know, township roads,
Yeah,
with all the money from a few years ago to help out and, you know, try to get the economy rolling, that money didn't make it to the township level.
yeah.
It went,
And there is there is an issue right now about road districts down in Springfield. And there's been various bills as to whether to get rid of road districts or what to do about road districts. Because some people argue that it's not a very efficient way to manage roads because it's so tiny. You would have all that equipment for 7 miles of road.
Yeah, I mean, that
It's,
was
you know, or 9 miles of road.
should be a state
And
law.
so there has been some
varying
discussion
opinions
of
on it.
having them absorbed into the areas that surround them. But-
Mhm. To take advantage of the economies of scale.
Right, but your guess is as good as mine, whether something will happen with that.
Thank you.
Do you know any of the numbers of those bills?
Oh, no,
No?
I'm sorry, I
I
don't.
could probably, if you
But
did
Gail
that email,
might.
I could probably.
Hi, I'm Sue Skoronsky. I live on the corner of Adelphia and Burris. Bill,
Mhm.
I understand that 50% of the Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, North Chicago taxes go back to the people.
Mhm.
But we pay unincorporated.
Mhm.
You say that you don't put it out there. We have a right to know where you're thinking about repairing. You are socking away money, and while you're socking away money, the roads are getting worse.
Mhm.
Burris is almost gone. There are big patches of road that are gone.
Mhm.
Now when
I
you're
did a few
driving down the
patches a
street,
year or two ago on
It's
Denver.
gone. You're driving in people's yards now.
Mhm.
So what's gonna happen? What areas are you looking to take care of?
Right now, a couple of the bigger stretches I'm looking at are Muir on the west side, 43, and
And that's
Bayonne.
a lot of traffic over there?
There's a fair amount of traffic that
Okay.
runs through there, and it's going up. I mean, it's,
Because we also have a flooding issue. Drainage issue.
mhm,
And the water just sits and sits and sits, and then we get the mosquitoes, and
mhm.
so nothing will be done on Burris.
You know, I just did a few patches there, you know, within the last several years. I've got a few other areas that I'm trying to deal with this year. And a few other patches outside of those two stretches of road over
You know, a
there.
couple of the older ladies in the neighborhood don't walk anymore because they've twisted their ankles walking into the potholes. So it's not getting done. You say it's getting done, but there's potholes all up and down Burris.
Mhm.
I mean, seriously,
Mhm.
we're thinking about moving.
Mhm.
There's nothing gets taken care of. The roads don't get taken care of. People's lawns can be 10 feet tall, it doesn't get taken care of. Nothing gets taken care of. What?
The lawns are not.
I'm not talking to you, but thank you for your input. Go ahead.
You know, we're doing the best we can with the money that we have, okay? And,
That's like the standard answer that I've heard for 20 years.
well, I'm sorry. You know, I've been in office 8, so I guess my predecessors sing the same song.
Excuse me, I got here a little late, I just didn't, was Safford Avenue addressed in that as well?
At the corner of 43 and Safford on the, I mean, there's a big stretch there, but I'm gonna try and deal with it to a degree.
Yeah, because I was unfortunate enough to have that heavy
Can I just
equipment that
interrupt
they
you guys for a
had.
minute, because we're gonna try and keep, some order here, so Mrs. Schnumberg is up here, and then you guys, if you have to
Oh,
talk, you can
okay.
stand, okay, sorry.
My name is Jan Schnellberg, and I live on Malden and Lake Bluff. There is a solution, but the people in the unincorporated areas have been reticent to listen to that, and that is to establish a special service district for your area, whereby the people in your area will be taxed equally for the repair of your roads. Thank you.
We'll ask you to come up, name and address.
Okay, I'm Marge Triplett, and I live in Knollwood on Safford Avenue, and I did call you last week, but I didn't hear anything back. My road is continuously deteriorating, and it started when they started to do 43, and they parked their heavy equipment right on my parkway. And it was really chewed up bad. There's no road there anymore, and it keeps getting deeper and deeper, and I've had to have people, I hired people to come over and stomp it down and put some dirt in and level it out, because it was heaved up by this heavy equipment. They ruined the road right in front of my house. And I have numerous potholes, and I'm afraid myself of walking and stumbling in that stuff. And it's just a danger to the community. And we all pay taxes. We all pay taxes to Shields Township, and I'm sure that somewhere in there, and I've heard a lot about this grant writing that's not being done, that can be done. And if there's a possibility that we have somebody out there, which we had someone last year offer to help write grants, did you take advantage of that at all?
There is no grant money available for patching and fixing roads, and that's, you know, the biggest problem. There is some matching funds that you can do sometimes when you incorporate drainage projects, and if you have road cuts, major road cuts, that if you're doing storm sewer work and so forth, that they will then allow you to kind of incorporate the road project with the drainage project. In a lot of cases though, in order to do that, you have to spend, you know, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to do a storm sewer system along with fixing the roads. And most of the grant money that's available are matching funds. So if it's a $300,000 project, you can, if it fits their criteria, you can get 150, say, from grants, and then the township would need to match with the other 150,000.
But you do have money in the.
I've got 125,000 budgeted right now specifically for road repairs.
Because the patching really doesn't work. You put it in, and a few months later, it's out.
Now, you know,
we get an awful lot of big trucks going back and forth down our street all the time, and it doesn't take much time.
That's, you know, quite true. With
It's
the
wasted
larger,
money.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like putting a Band-Aid on it, is what it is.
Well, of course,
With the larger patches that we've done, we've actually had it dug out because in a lot of cases, the road bed is not deep enough to deal with garbage trucks and buses and so forth that roll over
Yeah,
our
I've
streets.
seen several patches where you've taken it
Yeah.
out and.
Yeah, and dug down.
And I think I need that in my area.
You do, and I wish yours was the only one, but
I know.
unfortunately
Well,
it
I know
isn't.
Burris is bad too,
Yeah.
that's.
We have a 3-minute time limit. so
Okay, thank you very much.
You know, Bill, let me just ask you a question. Do we ever impose a bond on anybody who's doing work? I don't know if there's.
I do, the only place I really have that authority is when people are building on their property, okay, and we get, you know, a road bond for that.
Yeah.
And
We
that's,
do that, okay.
yeah, you know, and it works. But that's, you know, when the state came in and did 43 here a few years ago, they don't ask me
Yeah, they don't
for a
have
permit.
it.
So,
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you all. Next item on the agenda is, every month we bring out a social service agency to kind of talk a little bit about what they do, showcase the programs and the opportunities for volunteering. And I'm happy to report tonight we have Lake County Cares with Sara Gunderson, who is their volunteer coach. So Sara, welcome.
Hello. Many of you know Nini Lustig, who is the Executive Director of Lake County Cares, and I just wanted to mention she's a true joy to work with and an inspiration, and I have loved working for this organization. I've been there since September, and in the 12 years I've lived in this area, I feel like it's the most rewarding and interesting place that I've volunteered, so I'm really happy to be here and talk about it. I'm planning to tell you about a day in the life of Lake County Cares, but I feel like I should give you the overall picture for some of you that aren't familiar with the organization. And if you'll bear with me, I have to read a little bit because I can't remember all of this stuff. So I'm going to read a little bit to you and give you the picture. Lake County Cares has been around for 45 years. And it serves as the premier hub of Lake County volunteerism. It's an active center that strengthens communities, operating essential outreach programs and facilitating daily connections between our volunteer corps and local agencies, municipalities, schools, businesses, civic groups, and religious organizations. Lake County Cares' vision is to strengthen Lake County by connecting caring residents with outreach programs and service opportunities that make a difference in their communities. Lake County Cares was started in 1967 by just 7 people, Lake Bluff and Lake Forest women, and it was originally called the Volunteer Bureau of Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. A true grassroots organization, it was established to help connect residents of the community with opportunities to serve and to help solve community needs through innovative programming. Several programs created by the Volunteer Bureau and eventually spun off include Relief for Caregivers, the Senior Transportation Network, Safe Sitter Program, and the Gorton Drop-In Center. The organization changed its name to the Volunteer Center of Lake Forest Lake Bluff in order to better align itself with the national network of volunteer centers after receiving national accreditation from the Points of Light Foundation. In 2009, the organization changed its name to Lake County Cares to better represent the community it serves. A few highlights from 2011. More than 16,750 volunteers walked through the doors of Lake County Cares through the web and through our outreach programs. Lake County Cares advocated for literacy, homelessness, the unemployed, victims of domestic violence, women in recovery, youth, seniors, the disabled, animals, healthcare, veterans, and the environment through hundreds of agency referrals and 8 different outreach programs. Lake County Cares provided direct access to books for more than 25 children, kindergarten through 8 at 9 schools in Highwood, North Chicago, and Waukegan. Lake County Cares instilled love of literacy and appreciation of different cultures among 240 third graders from Waukegan and Highwood and 240 4th and 5th graders from Lake Forest and Lake Bluff through Reading Buddy programs. Lake County Cares provided direct food aid to clients of 8 food pantries, including Shields Township. 1,400 pounds of food was sent out with 652 Thanksgiving dinners, $2,440 in gift cards and cashier's checks. Lake County Cares collected enough food to fill weekend backpacks for 250 families, or excuse me, children, served by the Holy Family Food Pantry for the entire summer. Lake County Cares strengthened families and helped provide children with a sense of hope and self-esteem by fulfilling the holiday wishes of 800 individuals and families served by 10 social service agencies. They fulfilled basic hygiene needs of more than 300 women in need by collecting 6,000 toiletries and distributing them on Valentine's Day. Lake County Cares actively engaged seniors in exercise, craft making, and conversation through 9 monthly programs involving children ages K through 8. They supported the work of 23 social service agencies over the summer months through ongoing referrals of teens, college students, and unemployed individuals via our Summer of Service program. Lake County Cares prepared 22 preschoolers for kindergarten during 6-week pilot summer programs at Oak Terrace Elementary School, designed to improve fine and gross motor skill development. Lake County Cares outreach programs deal with hunger, literacy, domestic violence, senior well-being, environment, homelessness, youth leadership, and civic engagement. I'm going to give you a little idea of what I do during my day. I'm just a volunteer, so normally I work on Wednesdays, but I work today, and I am the person that answers most of the email that comes in, so I'll give you a little picture of who I dealt with today. I had a woman come in. Everyone seemed to be my age today, so that was easy. I usually try and keep track of how old everyone is. Wanting to work with women, children, seniors, and the homeless. And I sent her to the Little Hands Big Heart program that we do at Lake County Cares. I sent her to the Haven and also to Holy Family Food Pantry. Another woman wrote in that she wanted to work with animals, children, and skill-based. She didn't tell me what her skills are, so I wrote her back and said that I would need to know a little further what her skills are, but I sent her in the meantime to Save a Pet, Big Brother, Holy Family, and the YMCA in Waukegan, as she works in Waukegan. Another woman wrote in, actually this one was only 17, she wrote in she wanted to work with children, animals, and the environment in Gurnee for just 1 day only. So I sent her to Save a Pet, the Forest Preserve, and suggested she also try the local library, rec center, and hospital. And I always do, when I write them, say if they are only there for 1 day, if they want to come back again, we can always help everyone in the future. I had another person write in from Zion, wanting to work every week with animals, women, and children, and I sent her to A Safe Place, Reading Power, Catholic Charities, and North Chicago Community Partners. And actually one more, this happens to be a good friend of mine who works for Motorola and wants to put 10 people in a summer program. So I sent her to Bernie's Book Bank, the Equestrian Connection, the Heller Nature Center, the Botanic Garden, and Eloah. One of the things I didn't mention is that most of the people that write into us, we don't hear from them again. This is usually a one-time only, and everybody has an immediate need. They want to do something today if need be, so I usually write back as quickly as I can and don't expect to hear from people again, but sometimes you do, and sometimes you hear from people, their little stories, and it's a really nice feeling to know that we made the right connection. To me, it's a little bit of a game. I am pretty familiar with agencies from living in this community for 12 years. I also have a huge manual that I can look through, and I think it's really fun to see the right thing for the right person. I know I'm supposed to be telling you about our funding, and we get our funding through corporate partners, foundations, and individual donations. Thank you.
Have you noticed the change? How long have you been doing this? Oh,
Since September.
Do they have they indicated, has Mimi indicated to you whether you're seeing more people volunteering because of the economy, and they have more people who are out of work but trying to stay connected?
Do you know, I don't know if I can answer that. I know, you know what, I know from listening to some of the agencies that come in that, like a food pantry is seeing way more people. I don't know if I can answer that from us. From as long as I've been there, it seems to be a really steady stream. But I don't know that over the years. Yeah.
Because we actually are seeing more people who are looking to volunteer because they're out of work, and so
Yeah.
I'll make sure I send them to you.
Oh, please do, please do.
Sarah, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you keep track of who the volunteers are, or do you ever communicate with them to see whether you say they volunteer, in your examples today, volunteer on the spur of the moment, but do you keep track of them, and are they capable of being solicited again to help in some similar way in the future?
We keep track of a lot. I have actually data that I was going to read, but then I was worried I was boring you, so I didn't. But we do have an ability to look and see. For instance, we pulled up just people in Lake Bluff, and I can tell you what their backgrounds are, what percentage wants to volunteer weekly. I can tell you what percentage want to work with disabled and women, etc. So we can track things. I must have known you were going to ask me this, because I was thinking about it today, that I think we could probably create a pool. At the moment, we're not doing it. We do have a whole database. We don't refer back to them. I think we probably could. What I do, because I have time, when I see them that come across my, if I see someone that really jumps out on me, I had someone here I also was going to mention too, but I guess I left her at home. But she wrote it in and said she was a fluent Spanish speaker. And a few of the other things she mentioned to me, I thought, you know what, she seems like she could be a really good possible board member for an organization, or everything I sent her to was related to Spanish, because we have such a great need for that. But she was someone I was thinking, maybe we should hold on to her. So it depends, and there are people who write in with specific interests that we can put to use in our own office. Our bookkeeper is a volunteer who had the accounting skills, was looking to volunteer, so she now works for Lake County Cares as a volunteer. And that's the same with the person who works with our computers. He has a full-time job somewhere else, wanted to volunteer, and we had the need, and so we pulled him in, so he's there too. Actually, that's how I got there. I saw an email saying we need some help, and I had some time, so that's how I saw it too. But it's a good organization, doing a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
You've been great supporters of the food pantry here, so we really appreciate it. And I do believe that we have a link to your website on our website, so
good,
if
I
people
hope
want
so.
to find out more, they can come to Shields.
Okay. Well, that's the direction that Lake County Cares really wants to move in for the fall. At the moment, we're tied with Lake Forest, Lake Bluff municipalities, but we want to reach out to all the communities, because if they have a direct link on our website, they can find their own volunteers better than we can. They know what their needs are. So that's the direction we're really going to move in the fall. So,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. All right, next item, no old business. And I know of no new business, so we are Township Reports. Bill, do you have anything?
Nothing big here to report. Just been out doing some brush, trying to do some spring cleanup here. Other than that, just the normal maintenance. So, working towards, getting our bid package put together for our road project. And also another drainage project, a larger drainage project that we're going to be working on this year. So that is all.
Thank you. Trustees, any? Okay. No? I don't have a lot, but I did want to just mention and also just ask the board, all of the elected officials. I had sent out, we received from our attorney that there has been a new public access opinion that has come out that is getting another hearing appeal down in Springfield, but it does apply to what constitutes public record, and that any correspondence on any private electronic devices could be construed as public record. And our attorney wanted us to make sure that this got out. We've met with staff, we've talked with staff about this. So I wanted to see if you all looked at this stuff, you had any questions. you know that.
I looked at it.
I mean, it's gonna be something that if it does stand, it's gonna be pretty difficult to enforce, I would think. Just- Yeah, I mean,
That's gonna be.
There's not a lot of traffic.
well, and you know, they're talking anything that's been deleted, I mean, that, you know, it's, you know, perhaps well intended, but I think difficult again to enforce, so I just wanted to make sure there's no questions, okay? I just wanted to give a little update on what's been happening. Food pantry, we've had a pretty busy month, and we've had some real interesting support coming to the food pantry. We always have an annual Postal Service does their Stamp Out Hunger drive, and it was this past Saturday. And again, I want to thank the Kiwanis Club. They have always been very, very strong supporters and helpers of the effort on a Saturday. And this year we collected 2,700 pounds of food. That was up from 2,700 up from 2,200 the year before. So again, wonderful donations, very generous community, and we appreciate that. A special shout out to the Lake Bluff Brewing Company, who David Burns and Rod Spector have started the Lake Bluff Brewing Company, and they started a first annual chili cook-off where they had Rick from the Daily Grind and Rich Benson as the culinary judges, where the public was invited to come in and buy a bowl of chili as a fundraiser. And as a result of that, they brought it over to Shields Township. It was, you know, in excess of $400, and wonderful, just wonderful community support. I love how they were doing it on their end, having other local businessmen work with them, and again, we really appreciate them keeping Shields Township in mind. Just today, excuse me, the First Presbyterian Church earmarked the Shields Township Food Pantry for their Meal a Month program, so a special shout out to Sean Jones, a young man who I think is working towards his Eagle Scout, who coordinated that effort. And then today also, there's a nonprofit that has been started in the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff communities called Beef for Hunger, Beef the number 4 Hunger. And these were some gentlemen who identified the need for protein being available at food pantries, but know that the cost can be daunting and the quality of the beef is sometimes not always the highest. So they have started this nonprofit where they go out and procure high quality beef. And today we received our second donation, where it's an outright gift from this organization, Beef for Hunger. And it's today we received over 200 pounds of high quality beef, and they come in what they refer to as 1 pound chubs, which are, you know, they look like the sausage things that you see, but and it's ground beef, and you know, those 200 pounds will make 800 meals. So we really want to thank Beef for Hunger for their incredibly generous donation. And again, I have to say, Baxter Corporation has an employee giving campaign, and there has been a gentleman who has, for the second time, made a donation with matching funds to Shields Township, and it is a private anonymous donation, and so I don't know who it is, but I publicly want to thank whomever this person is, because it's a very generous gift that we have received, so thank you to that Baxter employee. Then this last month, well, since our last board meeting, on April 24th, with the Gorder Family Foundation and the North Chicago Community Partners, led by Christina Jones of the North Chicago Community Partners. Again, April 24th, we were at A.J. Katzenmeyer, and on May 1st, we were at South School. Both of those are grade schools in North Chicago, where under Christina's direction, it was set up as a mobile food pantry, but a whole family-friendly event where there was also, the Red Cross was there doing various physical testing. They had Zumba. I did not go into that part of the location, but they were showing people healthful snacks and just a whole lecture, just a fun community event. And Shields Township, or actually the Phoenix Rising arm of Shields Township, was the funder of that. And it was amazing. I mean, it was 4 hours each school, and I want to thank Shirley Morelli and DJ and Ari Lee, who are two young men here in the community. Shirley Morelli is a resident of the community who went with me and helped do the setup and the distribution and the takedown. It's great, it's gratifying. These people get a lot of food that otherwise we would not be able to provide. There's perishables and that sort of thing. So it was a wonderful community collaboration, and hats off to everyone who was involved with that. And that leads me to announce that we're doing our mobile Shields Township Phoenix Rising sponsored mobile food pantry at Yeager School on June 14th. And we would encourage anybody, any of the board members, any of the public, to come and help. It's a 2-hour, it's from 4 to 6, again, June 14th. We secure a semi, which is up to 10,000 pounds of food for $650, and distribute it. And we're in conjunction with Great Lakes. We're right on the north end of military housing, so it's an outreach also to the military for those families that are E6 and under, as well as the greater community of Shields Township. It's fun, it's fast, and it's wonderfully productive. So again, that's June 14th at Yeager School in the parking lot from 4 to 6. As the military say, that's what, 1,600 to 1,800 hours. So that's something to put on the calendar. And then the next thing would be Russ Armstrong, who has been a volunteer in our food pantry, is organizing the 2nd annual Drive for FORE food golf outing at Lake Bluff, and that's July 13th. It's 11 o'clock registration, there's a lunch, there's golf, then there's a dinner with the silent auction, and all of that's for $100. And we get wonderful support in underwriting, and this year our chief underwriter, our premier underwriter, is Lake Forest Bank and Trust. So we want to thank them, and again, this is another event that anybody in this room or who is listening at home is more than requested to come and help us and support it and have fun with it. So, those are my reports. Anything else? Okay. Hearing none, I would take a motion for adjournment.
So made.
Second? A second. Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
One second.
I'm familiar with it, but